Only a few royals choose to wear a beard these days, and only one also accessorizes with an eye patch. Always impeccably turned out, it's hard to imagine King Charles III with a 5 o'clock shadow, but in the king's youth he was considered something of a royal rebel. Beards were widespread in the 1970s and Charles jumped onto the trend, growing facial hair on several occasions throughout the decade. He joined the Royal Navy in 1971, leaving in 76, and it's possible that he grew out his fuzz to enjoy a semblance of anonymity while serving in the forces. His fuzz was fleeting, and he soon went back to a slick, smooth appearance. This may be due to the late Queen Elizabeth's intense aversion to facial hair. A royal insider told Hello she doesn't mind royal men growing beards when they are away in the armed forces or out in the wilds, but she expects them to be clean-shaven when they get home. Ordinarily, Prince William is the epitome of old money prestige, expertly fitted designer suits, cashmere sweaters, and some of the best shoes that money can buy. But with facial hair, his look was more akin to a geography teacher than second in line to the throne. William debuted his facial hair in 2008 while in the Royal Navy. After serving in Barbados, William retained his beard while on a pheasant shoot. Since Queen Elizabeth never cared for facial hair, he was apparently told to shave it off, and was livid. According to Prince Harry, William took it out on Harry, trying to sabotage his attempts at a beard. Harry wrote in his memoir Spare that when he asked why William was making such a big deal about Harry's beard, William replied, "Because I wasn't allowed to keep my beard." Ah, there it was. After he'd come back from an assignment with Special Forces, Willie was sporting a full beard, and someone told him to be a good boy, run along and shave it. When clean-shaven, Prince Harry had a boyish, baby-face look to him, appearing younger than his years. After growing out his stubble in 2013, he began to look more mature, less regal, and most significantly, far more approachable. Indeed, his demeanor now exudes that of an average dude. This change was significant for Harry, who said that his beard helps with his anxiety. Initially, Queen Elizabeth was unhappy with Harry retaining his beard after serving in the armed forces. Not intent on upsetting his grandmother, he was reportedly considering a trip to the barber, but eventually opted to keep his ginger mane. Now, facial fuzz is very much a part of the prince's brand, and he is rarely, if ever, seen without it. When his wedding day approached, he was allegedly ordered by Prince William to shave off his beloved beard in what has been dubbed Beardgate. Harry told ITV, "I said, well, I don't believe that Meghan's going to recognize me if she comes up the aisle and sees me beardless."
A lot of it is to do with, I refer to it as heir spare, but also older brother, younger brother.
He then explained the importance of his facial hair, saying, "I would feel very, very different without my beard, and that's hard for people to understand who've never grown a beard. But hopefully those beard people out there will go, yeah, no, I fully get that, I can understand." The late Prince Philippe might be the royal you'd least expect to sport scruff, but back in 1957, the Duke, then aged 36, showcased a full beard while wearing his naval uniform. With a beard, Philippe looked eerily similar to Willem Dafoe's grizzled sailor in the movie The Lighthouse.
I seen it. You're fond of me lobster.
It wasn't the first time he had grown a beard. He also sported one during World War II. And in 1965, he once again grew out his stubble during a 5-month-long Commonwealth tour. Upon his return, Queen Elizabeth took the opportunity to troll her husband. Robert Hardman revealed in his book, Queen of the World, it was a comedy moment when the Queen and Duke were finally reunited. Knowing that he had grown a beard on his travels, the Queen had arranged for everyone in the royal entourage, herself included, to put on fake whiskers just before the Duke walked in. The Spanish royals lead enviably lavish lifestyles, but one item that's not on King Felipe VI's Whole Foods receipt is shaving cream. Rocking a beard isn't mere experimentation for the Spanish king, it's a way of life. In fact, Felipe is one of the only monarchs in Europe to sport a permanent beard. But there once was a time when the king didn't have a beard. When he was crowned in 2014 following the abdication of his scandal-prone father, Felipe looked completely different. An absence of facial hair made him appear rather ordinary, resembling a politician rather than a royal. The beard has given the king's face character as well as a more debonair and sophisticated look. As The Telegraph pointed out, the king's fuzz is much more flattering for his face, with the newspaper even suggesting that the British monarch should follow suit. King Charles III might benefit from some of his own Spanish whiskers to lend his septuagenarian face a little extra scaffolding. Renowned for his commitment to stubble, Prince Carl Philippe is the rather dapper son of King Carl XVI Gustaf. In his 20s, the prince was something of a pretty boy with his impossibly flawless baby face and floppy Mr. Darcy-style hair. He certainly would not have looked out of place in a period drama or as the love interest in a twee 2000s rom-com. But with a beard, the prince has graduated to sex symbol status, with some claiming that he's a dead ringer for hunky 50 Shades of Grey star Jamie Dornan. For Carl, a beard just makes sense, giving him a more mature and rugged look. The prince even donned a full beard when he tied the knot with Princess Sophia in 2015, which, aside from the aforementioned Prince Harry, is uncommon when it comes to royal weddings. Then again, the Swedish prince is anything but conventional. This is, after all, the man who wed Sophia, herself a commoner and former reality TV star, to a soundtrack of Coldplay and Rihanna. Though Greece abolished its monarchy in 1973, the Greek royals still hold on to their titles. Crown Prince Pavlos is the son of the late Constantine II, the last king of Greece. Without facial hair, the prince looks rather dashing. In the 90s, for instance, he cut a figure right out of a storybook beside his bride, Marie Chantal, Crown Princess of Greece. He continued with the clean-shaven countenance into middle age, until one day, something rather peculiar happened. Toward the end of 2020, Pavlos emerged with his face suddenly covered in hair. The new mustache and goatee made him look like a totally different person, ready to swashbuckle alongside the Three Musketeers.
All for one, one for all.
It seemed the prince took a liking to the look, and it has remained in place. This change in his appearance was compounded by the addition of an eye patch in December 2023, following retinal surgery. Sharing a snap of her husband's whiskers and eye patch combo on Instagram, Marie Chantal wrote, "Hopefully a temporary new look, but he's kind of cute." King Willem-Alexander of the Netherlands is proof that facial hair really can change a person's entire appearance. When he ascended the throne in 2013, his face was smooth, but there were calls from the Dutch public for the monarch to grow a beard or a mustache. The king finally listened, debuting his luxurious ginger beard in 2019. Without facial hair, the king, who was born in 1967, was rather fresh-faced. The addition of bristles aged him by a decade, but also bestowed a more approachable and less aristocratic look. It was a radical move, considering that it's uncommon for Dutch royals to undergo major makeovers. An etiquette expert told Newsbeazer, "The king has always hinted that he wants to come across more loosely. This new beard reflects that. It makes him human. If you change frequently, it becomes more difficult to recognize. It's good to know what you want with it. It also requires some vigilance and work to keep it clean." Frederik X was crowned King of Denmark following the abdication of his mother in January 2024. As a young man, Frederik had a boyish, smooth-skinned countenance. But as he got older, he began growing out his stubble and went from pretty boy to silver fox. The king now wears a salt and pepper beard. In 2020, Frederik grew a wild mane during quarantine, before trimming it down for a post-lockdown haircut. As some commentators have pointed out, the beard is central to the king's humble and laid-back persona. Unlike many royals across the globe, he doesn't take himself too seriously, and even has multiple tattoos. A royal biographer told The Telegraph he is already a star among many Danes. By nature, he is open-minded, curious, and down-to-earth. Even before becoming king, he has been nicknamed the Frogman King, the Rock and Roll King, the Sportsman King, and the Green King. Prince Haakon of Norway was as famed for his beard as he is for his flamboyant personality. While attending his parents' 80th birthday gala in 2017, Haakon shocked guests by arriving with a shaved face midway through the celebrations. He looked markedly different without the goatee, which gave his face some character and charm. Some felt that going without the beard emphasized his resemblance to Lord Farquaad from Shrek, whereas the bearded look provides definition and highlights his classic features. The prince is proof of just how much facial hair can change a person's face. The clean-shaven look was short-lived, with the prince once again growing out his fuzz and appearing at subsequent events with a full beard. Tellingly, Haakon once revealed that his dream job was to be a surfer, a profession renowned for its beards and free spirits. He told NRK that if he hadn't been a royal, "I would have been a pro surfer on the world tour."
We stand for something. To those dead souls inching along the freeways in their metal coffins, we show them that the human spirit is still alive.
The son of the late Grace Kelly, Prince Albert of Monaco usually opts for the clean-shaven look. With his receding hairline, he looks like he works for the civil service rather than the crown. But with a mustache, he appears far more like an old-school aristocrat. In 2017, Albert debuted his chevron mustache, which suited his regal bearing. It was the first time he had played around with facial hair, following in the footsteps of his paternal ancestors. Chatting to People, he discussed the patriotic significance of his whiskers. Along with his countrymen, he was paying tribute to 200 years of the Carabiniers, a branch of Monaco's defense reserves. Historically, it was a requirement for soldiers to have moustaches. As their honorary colonel, I said, "If you're sure you're all going to it, I'll do the same." We're almost at 95% moustaches now among the Carabinier Corps, or will be by Monaco's National Day on November 19th, so you'll see a lot of stoches on parade in front of the palace. Though he looked distinguished with the stosh, Albert's wife and kids weren't so keen. Subsequently, he was looking forward to the day he could finally shave it off, and these days, the prince is back to being bristle-free. Philippe of Belgium has been king since his father, Albert II, abdicated in 2013. Back in his princely days, Philippe exhibited some famous facial hair. In 2009, he debuted his beard and metamorphosed into an entirely different person. The grey beard was undeniably aging on the royal, then aged 49, though it also gave him silver fox appeal. The Belgian public agreed, with one newspaper reporting, "Some believe that it gives him a more mature appearance, more assured. Others say it makes him look a bit old." The prince even demanded that a set of commemorative stamps released in 2010 depict him with his beard. Despite his apparent dedication to the fuzz though, he eventually shaved it off. After showcasing his grey stubble for the last time in 2012, he was clean-shaven when he was crowned in 2013 and so far has shown no signs of growing back the luxurious beard.